Do you remember, Mr. Gregg, when the fire came down through this country, Vennachar, right on through Madawaska?
Yep, I mind it.
Do you remember what year that was?
Eh?
Do you know roughly what year that was?
Well, it was 63 years ago now. You can figure back from...
63 years ago?
Yes, sir. Herb Holmes is 63-year-old, and he was born in the spring of the fire.
That'd be 1902.
Was it? Yeah. 1902, eh? Well, that's just when it was. Yeah. And I'll tell you where I was. Yeah, I was telling you a little while ago about going up to the Snake Creek on the drive.
Right.
See? Well, I went up there, and that day, the boss said to me, McCoy, he said, would you stay off on the drive for a day or two and help them get, they had two good teams, and they had a good big farm too. And he said, and help them get started with the crop. So it was time to put in the crop. That was the last day. It was very dry. It must have been when it burnt so much, you see. Mm-hmm. And the land was light up there, and they wanted to get the crop put in. So I said, yes, if you give me the same pay, I'd just soon do that as wade water. So, all right, he said, you take that one team and go out on the land this morning. Well, we got rigged up and went out an hour or two, and there was a son-in-law of his there. His name was Bruce, and he come out to the field. He said, Stan, he said, do you see that awful cloud raising over there, smoke? Way miles away, you see, west of us. I was at the Snake Creek today, and at night, they did not have one thing left.
Came right through there, eh?
Yep, right through there, and before dark, the whole thing was flat. And there was an old couple there, old Jack McCoy and his wife, and then there was this son-in-law, you see, and his wife was there. And there was another young fellow by the name of Johnson, Henry Johnson. He was there going to work there too, choring around. And so Tom says, Stan, I believe we ought to go up. They had a sawmill too, and they had to cut logs out. Had they all cut. They didn't have a very big cut. And he says, I believe we ought to go up and wet them lumber piles with water, take pails and soak them. Mm-hmm. Well, we might better have been sitting down in the shade, you know, didn't mount nothing. But the fire come through, burnt lumber, sawmill in their house, and they had a nice store, quite a store, you know, supplies for men, and they sold stuff too to the neighbors around there, and their barns, and everything was black. And Tom said to me then, when he seen we were getting closer, he said, I better go down the creek. There was about 20 men down there towards the river. He said, I better go down there, he said, and bring the gang all up. I said, we're going to be burnt out, sure. And, well, I said, looks like it. It's coming closer. So he went down the creek, and the fire got there before they got back, and them lads, well, I didn't see them, but they told me they had to lay in the water till them flames went over. Yes, sir. Okay, and they didn't get back, and the young lad, he got scared. He's only about 17, I guess. Big, stout boy. And by gosh, he beat it for home. His father just lived on up about 4 miles from there, and so he was uneasy about his people, you see. They'd be burnt out. And he left. Well, there I was left all alone there, and there was an old couple there, and, well, sir, I seemed to be getting so close, and what I was going to do with that old couple I didn't know, you see. Well, sir, there's a root house there. You know the root house.
Yes.
And I takes and puts them in this root house. Well, sir, I looked over there. I was trying to run this out of the barn and something, and run into the creek, or wagon, and everything I could to save something. I looked in there, but the damn front of the root house wasn't afire, and them in there. You see, hadn't a very big start, as luck. So I goes and gets the old man and the old lady out of there.
Oh
my gosh.
It's some pretty anxious moments.
Yep.
And it burned everything?
Everything they had. Fences, and seemed to clean up everything. Yes, sir. Just a black mess. Well, there he was. hadn't the drive quite out, and the fences was all burnt, and they had a bunch of cattle, you know. So they took him. The first thing he done, he went and ordered a new sawmill, and he got some millwrights from Denby. Lockwood was one, and Simon Wright was another. He ordered a new sawmill and put up a sawmill, and then he finished taking out the drive, and he kept on some men there, and they went in the bush and took out some logs after they got the mill. They didn't put no roof on it, you know.
Yeah.
They just laid it down and put the carriage on, and started to sawing logs, and put up a shack then for the living.
Would that be one of the old vertical mills, or would it be a circular mill?
Circle.
It was the circle, eh?
That was a circle. Yep. Yep, that was a circle. Yep.
I guess when that fire came through, Vennachar at that time was a fairly large...
Well, nice little
place.
village, yeah.
Right.
Nice village. The funny thing about that fire, you see that church is standing there.
Yes,
that,
I understand
that
that
United
one.
Church.
Right.
And it burnt the parsonage. Well, the Plevna Road runs right between the church and where the parsonage was, you see.
Right.
And it burnt that parsonage. And the barn, there was a nice barn there for the preacher's horse, you see. And a place to run his buggy in, his cutter. And burnt Sweetman's big buildings. They had two big barns and a big drive house. It's a pretty good farm, you know. It burnt them, and burnt Sweetman's house, and that church was left right there. Yeah, burnt the school.
I understand it's one of the last, or the only buildings left in Vennachar
Yeah.
after the fire.
Yep, it was the only building left.
Were there any lives lost in that
No,
fire?
no, not that I know of. No, I don't think it. So I wasn't home, you see. I was way up the Snake Creek, and I didn't know what was going on down here. But I come home, and of course my dad's place wasn't burnt or nothing.
Mm-hmm.